ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ Das Sukhwinder Singh. I've been asked to share my thoughts on the current situation that the world is experiencing at the moment and try and understand from a Hukam point of view, from a Sikhi point of view, Sikhi perspective, that how we to take this and get through it. Now, it is something that obviously, certainly in my lifetime, and I have been around a few years, so you can see the grace, something that I've never experienced, I've gone through. Everybody's trying to come to terms with it and trying to understand it. And obviously the first human emotion is we always try and ask the reason behind everything. Why has this happened? Now, everything we know happens under Maharaj's Hukam. Now, Hukam is understood in different ways. People understand the word Hukam as a command of Vaheguruji or a will of God. Some, unfortunately, have lost their loved ones, and especially when it comes to losing someone close to you, your family or a friend, then the game changes altogether. We talk about accepting Maharaj's will, and there is no other way of accepting and getting through this. It's just to take Maharaj's Hukam, his will, as it comes, and treat it like how Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj treats Vaheguruji's will sitting on that hot plate. The tera kiya meetha laga. However, when we go through the pain, then it gets a bit more complicated trying to understand the Hukam. So how do we get through it? How should we understand it? As Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj in the second pauri, Maharaj says, Hukmi hovan aakar, Hukam na kahya jai. Now, we cannot explain Vaheguruji's Hukam, why things happen. They happen the way they happen. But we have to understand one thing. And before we get to the second pauri, Maharaj, in Mool Mantar, in the very beginning, tells us that whatever happens, we are to understand that Ik Oankar, that there's only one force behind everything, Ik Paramatmaya. And also that Paramatma is, Vaheguru is, Nirpau, without fear, and Nirvair, without any enmity towards anybody. And also, Vaheguruji doesn't hold any regret over anything or any anger over anything, that he dislikes people, or he's teaching a lesson to people. Now, lessons are learnt through our experiences, yes. So in that way, Maharaj is teaching us a lesson, but it's never in a negative way that Guru Sahib Ji enjoys or Vaheguru Paramatma enjoys dishing out his Hukam. Now, he has laid out the rules, how the whole world governs and how the planets rotate and formed. Every single detail is working in his Hukam, and nothing is outside of it. So everything that is happening now or has happened in the past is obviously under his Hukam. So we cannot dispute it, and we cannot blame Vaheguruji for it. It's a system that he has created, just like we live in these countries, and each country has a law that we abide by. And when we are on the right side of the law, everything is fine and society is working. But when we go outside of it, things start to go wrong. And there are procedures in place that will kick in. At that point, when we start to break those laws, things will kick in to try and correct our behavior so that our surroundings, that we are not destroying them, and we are making sure that our own houses, ourselves, we are happy, and people around us are not harmed and happy, and they're able to carry on with their life without any disturbances. So they automatically kick in. So hence, Vaheguru Ji's Hukam. If we live in Guru Sahib Ji's Hukam, then things will be fine. A Hukam to all of us, when we come to this earth, is to meditate on Vaheguru Ji's Naam. And as we do that, we uplift ourselves to that platform, to that realm where things are understood. Now, at the moment, what human beings are going through is something that is very much, why has this happened? Why is it happening to me? Why has this happened to my loved ones, my relatives? And my life is interrupted. So it's very much focused on ourselves. And when we do that, we do not understand that in reality why this thing might be happening. Because we're too concerned about the answer that we want rather than the correct answer itself. So just like a child now, an example, a child might be playing and there are dangers around the house, like the parents will make sure that kids play in a safe area, you're not allowed to run around. The famous one with a pair of scissors or anything like that. Now, to a child, it's a pair of scissors and something that gives them pleasure when they're running around, but do not understand the dangers of it. And when you take that away from the child will then throw a tantrum, will start to cry and shout and scream because he wants that. The child is thinking, why have they taken this away from me? Why? Because I was playing with it, it's giving me some pleasure and I was happy, but now they've taken the happiness away from me. But the child doesn't understand that that very thing is harmful. That it might be okay for the child to play with it now, but there are dangers in place. So the Hukam kicks in, you could say the command within the house, the parents' command, kicks in and take that away. Now for that moment, because the child is very consumed about what's happened to him individually, takes it very personal, but doesn't realize that, hang on, it's happened for a reason, it's for my own safety. So that's just an example. If we carry on with the Pankti, Hukmi hovan akar, Hukm na kahya jai, Hukmi hovan ji, Hukm le vadiai, Hukmi uttam neech, Hukm likh dukh sukh paiyah hai, Ikna hukmi bakhsis, Ek hukmi sada pavaiyah hai, Hukm andar sab ko, Bahar hukm na koe, Nanak hukm je bujjai, Ta haume kahe na koe. Nanak hukm je bujjai. Now those who work it out with Guru Sahib Ji's kirpa, his hukam, how it works, bujh lende ne jehde, ta haume kahe na koi. Then that haume, that ego, that is you, which you call you, will cease to exist. And all the pains and sufferings are attached to that haume, that ego. And when we understand the hukam, then that ego will go, that everything is Paramatma, jo kar raha Paramatma kar raha. Everything is being done by Paramatma and none other. Ik Oankar. So that haume is eradicated because we have created this reality which is affected by our home. But when that is understood, when our consciousness is elevated to a point where there is no me, there is no that ego, and then the hurt that is felt with it is eradicated, is gone. Now, how do we understand Guru Sahib Ji's Hukam? Like I said, it is okay when it is someone else, but when it happens to us, that's when the real test comes. We have to look back at our itihas, how the Gursikhs understood the Hukam and how they followed the Hukam. They never questioned the Hukam, and that's very important. Now, we live in times, the times where tark is prevalent, that doubt. If we go back in our history, we'll get the answers. And it will give us not only the guidance, but the strength when going gets tough, when things are hard or difficult, you don't see the end to something you're suffering. How did our ancestors, they get through? And our history is so beautiful, our itihas, is that how amazing Satguruji is that what is Guru Sahib's will? If we ask that question, what is your Hukam? What is your will, Vaheguruji? Explain to me. But before Guru Sahib says, I'll explain that to you, you have to give me your head. Jo to prem khilan ka chao, sir tar tali, gali meri aao, it marg pair tarijai, sir dijai, kaan na kijai. You have to give your head. Now that concept, the Maharaj is saying, even before I'll tell you what the Hukam is, you need to give me your head. Simple. What Maharaj is asking for is tan, man, tan. Is everything we surrender to Vaheguruji. And once we've done that, then Maharaj says, then you will begin to start and understand the Hukam. Once you've got rid of your homme, once you got rid of your hankar, then you will start to understand the Hukam. Because then nothing is personal. Then it's not just about you. It's not about your loved ones. It's not about your family, your friends. It's not about you anymore. Because you don't exist at that point. It's just Paramatma. So, this is how our ancestors understood. Now, if I go back to Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj, Sakhi, that Guru Sahib Ji, we know, had 5 sons and a daughter. Guru Sahib Ji's 2 sons out of the 5, Baba Gurditta Ji and Baba Atal Rai Ji, they left this earth, their physical Sarir body, before Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji Maharaj. And if we look at it from a point where a father has lost 2 of his children. Now, there's a Sikh by the name of Bhai Sai Das Ji. Now, he looks at Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji and he sees that even after he's lost 2 sons, that he has this radiance about him that has never gone down. It's always the same. His jera, his face is the same. It's almost like he has not felt any sorrow. How can that be? So he has that question, and Maharaj is sitting in Droli, and he goes and asks Maharaj, said, Maharaj, please forgive me. I would like to understand that you losing 2 sons, but still, I don't see any sorrow on your face. How can that be? Then what Maharaj does, Maharaj says to Bhai Sai Das Ji that just grab a stick, and then on the ground, I want you to make a line, a lakeer. Bhai Sai Das ji gets the stick and he draws a line on the ground, in the mitti, in the dirt. And then Guru Hargobind Sahib ji says, now what I want you to do is rub that line off. Bata de inu. And Bhai Sai Das ji then rubs that line he has just made. And then Guru Hargobind Sahib ji asks, he says, Bhai Sai Das, when you made that line in the ground, did you feel any happiness or sorrow? And then Bhai Sai Das ji said, no, Maharaj. Maharaj asks, why? He said, because I was just following your hukam to draw a line, and I did. There was no happiness or sorrow about it. And then Maharaj said, okay, but what about when you rubbed that line off? Did you feel any sorrow then or anything? And he said, Maharaj, no, I didn't. And Maharaj asks again, why? He says, it's because it was your hukam to then just rub it, and I did. I was not attached to that line when I created it. So when I rubbed it, there was no sorrow. And then Maharaj says that this is the secret. That's how we follow hukam. That through meditation and through Simran, we stay detached and above the sorrows and happiness that is to do with Maya, this world. Now this sareer, this body, is like that lakeer. So when we come into this world, now there is an imprint, just like you made on the ground. That lakeer, that line is like that sareer, that body. And then when I asked you to rub it off, you did. And then it was not there any longer. Just like how this sareer will cease to exist. And it is in Paramatma's hukam. So when somebody comes and goes, there is no happiness or sorrow, because in this world we're coming to live the karmas, and attaching ourselves to Guru Sahib Ji's Shabad, Guru Sahib Ji's Bani, we will understand this, that sareer is nothing but just that line in the dirt. And that, just like that, gives us no happiness, and when it's gone, it gives us no sorrow. And when we understand Paramatma's hukam, we will be the same. But that's elevating ourselves to the next phase. That's elevating ourselves, our soch. There are other hukams. Sometimes when we follow Guru Sahib Ji's hukam, sometimes it seems like it is very difficult, or sometimes we don't understand it. And sometimes we think that why did Guru Maharaj give me that hukam, or why am I following that hukam? Another sakhi that we find is from Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj's times. There was a person, and he got famous by the name of Keertanis Sikh, because in the langar, Maharaj would make kheer. In the langar, kheer would be made, and it was made with desi kyo, so it tasted very good, and people would enjoy having that langar, and they would enjoy the kirtan, they would enjoy the sangat. But there was one person, his name was Keertana, and that was his thing. So he would just come and eat the kheer, and he would not do anything else. He would not do seva or anything. Some Sikhs saw that, and they said to Baba Buddha Ji, why don't you actually tell that Sikh to do some seva? So Baba Buddha Ji went and told that Sikh to do seva. And he turned around and said, oh, whenever Maharaj will give me the hukam, I will do seva. Just go now. So Baba Buddha Ji then just came back. But obviously Sikhs told Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj. And then Maharaj next day calls Keertana Sikh over. And he said, "We Sikha, tu kithe rehna, where did you live? And we've seen you, but we've not seen you do any seva here." And he explains, "Maharaj is waiting for your hukam, your command. Whatever your command is, then I will do." And Maharaj turns around and say to him that you only have 8 pahar to live. So 24 hours to live. And you're going to die. So my hukum to you is go into the jungle and gather some wood, and then I want you to make a funeral pyre, light it, and then jump into it, and then your soul shall be liberated. So this is my hukum. So now the Keertana Sikh is thinking, oh my God, that's not a hukum I was hoping for, but Maharaj is giving me that hukum, so what can I do? So he goes, and whilst he's on his way, whilst he's gathering the wood, he's thinking, Sikha ne changa nahi kita mere naal, that they told Maharaj he's giving me that hukum. So he gets all the wood and he lights the fire and everything, but he hasn't got the heart to jump in. Now, as he's struggling with it, there's a Sikh by the name of Bhai Mehra. So now Bhai Mehra is actually, at that point, is a Tardvi, so he's a lutera, he's a chor, he's a thief. And he had just burgled a house or a place, and he's running away because he's been chased by people. And he sees some fire, and he sees this guy, Keertana Sikh, and he asks him what's going on. And he says that this is what's happened to me. There's a hukam of Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj for me to do this, but I haven't got the heart to go through with it. And Bhai Mehra said that, tell you what, if it's a hukam from Guru Angad Dev Ji, because he had heard of Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj, and in his heart he had thought that one day I will change my ways and I will go to Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj, and he's now thinking maybe it's the time now. And he says, why don't you give me that bachan instead, that hukum instead, so I will follow that hukum, and in return I'll give you all this money that I have, so what he had stolen. So the Keertana Sikh, he thinks, well, this has worked out all right for me, that I've got there's so much wealth here that I could just take home with me and and live off it for the rest of my life. So he gives him the bachan of the Guru, and then he takes that stolen money and other things that have been stolen. And Bhai Mehra Ji then jumps into the funeral pyre, and his soul is liberated, and he goes to Sachkhand. And what happens to the Keertana Sikh is that he gets caught. So those people who were chasing Bhai Mehra Ji, they find him with all the stolen goods and thinking that it's him who has stolen it. So then he gets caught, and then he gets hanged for it. So he was going to die anyway, but Maharaj gave him that hukam, and if he had listened to it, rather than go to Nark, to a bad place after, Maharaj was going to liberate his soul, his Maharaj's hukam. And his hukam was for him to go and light a fire and then jump in it. Now, that was the hukam. But he didn't follow it. If he had, he would have been liberated. He was going to die anyway, but he chose not to, because to follow Guru Sahib's hukam sometimes is very difficult. But Maharaj's hukam carries our liberation in. So by marriage he was liberated, whereas the Keertana Sikh, he went from this earth empty-handed. So understanding Guru Sahib Ji's Hukam is very difficult, and especially in these times. But there is no other path for a Gursikh is to go with Guru Sahib Ji's Hukam. And whilst we are experiencing this Hukam of Paramatma, is to attach ourselves to Guru Sahib Ji's Shabad and Bani. It's a fantastic opportunity that here, if somebody had said to me 6 months ago that just sit at home, you don't have to go anywhere, and then the government will even give you the money, your wages, you just have to sit at home for 2-3 months. You don't even have to do anything, just stay at home. I would have thought that can't happen. But if it did, it would be amazing. Now, there's so much you can do. There's so much research you can do on Sikhi if you want. You can do Sahaj parts that people have done. You can do Simran. You can do Kirtan. You can, learn Gurbani Santha. There's so many things you can do. This opportunity is there for us to get close to Maharaj. Now, but if you're going to spend all that time worrying, because things are going to happen regardless, just like the Keertana said, he was going to die regardless, his choice. But it's what happens with the choice that he makes after. So just like that, we are going to make that choice, which takes us closer to Maharaj and understanding that Hukam. We may not understand it straight away, but we are living in it. There's no other way we can do this, so we have to go through it. So, Maharaj Kripa Karan, we hope that Guru Sahib Ji blesses the whole planet and that we come out of it. And then for those people who are suffering, that their sufferings are eased. And remember that the dosh is karma apanya. So the blame is our own karmas. It's not anybody else's. Paramatma is only there to help. Paramatma is not there to cause suffering. Paramatma is there to take the suffering away. So we attach ourselves to Guru Sahib Ji's Bani and Shabad and Hukam, and then we hope that we get out of this soon. So my vichar, my few thoughts. If I've said anything wrong, then please forgive me. I just wanted to share that with you guys. So I'm going to say Fateh. I hope everybody stays safe. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.